Good afternoon everyone, we are live at 4:40 p.m, you're with Emma. We've got lots for you here today on our special show all about science and space. But first, let's take a look at what's coming up. We will be showing you when we went to gaze at the stars with Sunderland Astronomical Society to find out more about the world outside of our world. Plus, we have our special guest, Dr. John Kilcoyne, who will be showing us lots of exciting scientific experiments, and he will be joining us in the studio a bit later. And lastly, we will be showing you how scientists have discovered what could be the birth of a new moon in the rings of Saturn. But first, let's take a look at what KNN got up to when we went to spend time with Sunderland Astronomical Society, where we had the chance to see the world outside of planet Earth. As some of you budding astronomers know, there is a huge world outside of the world we live in. Sunderland Astronomical Society kindly showed us where they do most of their stargazing at an observatory in Washington. Just look at this huge telescope that they use to get a closer look at the stars and planets in the sky. The vice chairperson of the society told KNN how you could get into astronomy and some of the amazing things that we can look out for as we look out into space.
Most amateur astronomers start off with either a small telescope or a pair of binoculars. I myself, I've got 2 pairs of binoculars and I've got a small reflecting telescope. It's got a mirror in it. And the thing about telescopes is they're basically funnels for light. Now, you know how a funnel works. It's got a big end and that captures all the water that you're trying to channel into a small spot or point. Well, your eye has a tiny little pupil, a tiny little hole, and you want to get lots more light in that. It is. So if we're here, the sun's over there, the moon's here, and then 12 days later the moon's on the other side being lit up by the sun on the other side, then you get to see craters lit up in a completely different way. You can put a smartphone up to most eyepieces of most telescopes and set it to a burst mode perhaps and just snap dozens of pictures of the moon, day or night. So let's imagine I'm standing here on Earth, right, and I've got the clouds above me. The sun's over there and the sun's gone down, okay? The sun is still lighting up the bottom of the clouds and you can get awesome sunsets. Well, later on as the sun drops down even further and those clouds get dark, and actually then you want those clouds to go away, this thin layer of ash, like the dying embers if you like, just persuade your parents to buy you a telescope for your birthday, even if it's a £50 telescope, or if you can't afford that, just go outside, put on 5 pairs of clothes, 6 pairs of socks, 8 jumpers, and wait 15 or 20 minutes for your eyes to adjust to the dark and look up.
There are many things that we still do not know about the stars and planets in outer space, and when you see pictures like these, you can see there is a very pretty world out there. So get wrapped up warm, get outside and just look up and see what you can find. So now you should all head outside at night time, with your parents' permission of course, and see which stars and planets you can find in the sky. Now, some of you budding astronomers may be able to see something new when you look through your telescopes at the stars. Scientists have discovered what could be the birth of a new moon in the rings of the planet Saturn, and it is the 63rd moon in Saturn's orbit, and they've decided to call it Peggy. Scientists noticed a bump on the edge of the ring that they believe is a new moon. It is estimated that Peggy may be about half a mile in diameter, and it is almost certainly made out of ice. The discovery of the moon has meant that scientists can now see how clouds of ice particles make up the rings of Saturn. As the rings contain so much ice, and because many of Saturn's moons are made up of ice, the rings provide a nursery for new moons before they migrate to more distant orbits away from this planet. Peggy's small size means that if it does migrate beyond the rings, it will be impossible for scientists to keep track of it. So get your telescopes out and see if you can find Peggy. So with this show being about everything to do with science and space, we now have a very special guest. Dr. John Kilcoyne joins KNN today, and he has a whole load of exciting experiments to show us. So Dr. John, what are you going to show us first?
Well, first of all, Emma, I have got some magnesium metal, and as you can see, magnesium metal comes in the form of ribbon. I have absolutely no idea why, because you wouldn't want to walk around with this in your hair, would you? Because you look so stupid, and also it hurts.
Yeah.
And thirdly, you'd be vulnerable if somebody approached you with a match. So I'll just show you the oxidation of magnesium, which is very easily done, and there is an evolution of energy in the form of a very bright light and some heat.
Yeah.
And it's better not to look at the light for too long, or you'll get a green spot in front of your eyes. But there we go, and you can see this smoke rising is simply magnesium oxide, and this tail here is magnesium oxide as well. The last time we were looking at hot things, burning things, things that were giving out heat and energy. What I've got for you now is something that's really cool. And what it is some liquid nitrogen.
Right.
Now, liquid nitrogen is just nitrogen from the air that has been liquefied, and it's in here, and it boils at minus 196 degrees Celsius.
So it's very, very cold.
Very, very cold. If it were just 4 degrees colder, it would be twice as far from the zero on the Celsius scale as boiling water is, but in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So it's very, very cold indeed. And it's in here, it's boiling away. And just to show you that things contract on cooling, I've put this balloon in. Very, very cold this. And as this warms up, it will expand, the gas inside will expand, as you can see, and I'm now wishing that I hadn't been to Pound Stretcher for my balloons.
Why?
Because they often don't survive this little exercise, but I got 200 balloons for £1, you see. But anyway, this one's surviving all right so far, isn't it?
There we go.
What do you think?
Wow.
Do you want to say that again?
Yeah. Let's
Thought you would. I thought you would, and even if you said no, I was going to do this, because I like doing it. Oh, look. Here we go. Now, I'm going to show you some liquid nitrogen now. So if it splashes on you, it won't hurt you.
Right, well, I'll
Okay,
stand
so
back.
just stand away. I'm going to tip it over the bench, and it'll roll over to the front there. Some will come backwards, but that's okay. Are you ready?
Yeah. Look at
Good,
that.
isn't it? See it? Rolling about
Now
on
that
little
is very
cushions
cool.
of
Yeah.
nitrogen gas that form at the surface there. Now, when I take this lid off to put this in, you'll see some brown fumes at the top.
Okay.
That's nitrogen dioxide. It's the nitric oxide reacting with oxygen in the air to produce nitrogen dioxide. Did you see them?
Yeah.
Good. But you know what the snag is? The snag is that I can't leave them in there when I set light to it because the ferocity is too great.
Right.
However, nitrogen dioxide dissolves in water to give nitric acid, and this is what we're doing now, and hopefully it will be just nitric oxide and carbon disulfide that remain in the tube, in the gaseous phase, and we might see the little bubbles of carbon disulfide floating on the water there. Right, now somewhere here there's a wax taper, look, fairly poor one because I couldn't find a church that wasn't locked, and there's my lighter. Now just stand back a little bit.
Okay.
Are you ready now?
I think so.
That's good. Here we go. Are we all ready?
It's a banana.
Here we go.
Wow.
There you go. Now that's the barking dog or the blue devil.
So that's it for today's special show all about science. I hope you've enjoyed it and learnt lots of things from it. For more information about the things we have covered, please head to the website. I hope you all have a wonderful evening and I shall see you all again very soon. Bye!